Krishnang Bande Jagadgurum. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Our salutations to Bhagavan Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the destroyer of the demons, Kamsa and Chanura, the darling of the mother Devaki, and the Guru of the world, and the teacher and Lord of the universe. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto us all. So, we are on this reading of this great book which is called Bhagavat, relating to the story of the birth and divine play of the Lord Krishna. So, here we are on the finishing the chapter 11th on the book 1, where we understood that the war was over between the cousins, that righteous war against injustice. They got back their kingdom, and the war finished, means it was total destruction of so many lives. Warriors, all become warriors, and they fought for each other. And then Bhagavan Krishna was the witness. He was observing this, and Arjuna said, "You be my chariot and guide me." And our life is a similar thing. This is a war through which we go through. Our body, mind, emotions, our senses, all looking outside, and there is struggle of the righteous and the unrighteous thoughts, ideas, desires, all lower propensities of tendencies of ours, to fight with that and to conquer them and to establish them in the path of righteousness, truthfulness, and that state of absolute bliss. So Krishna is the guide. Make Krishna, the Lord, the guide in your life. Here is the indication. So when the war was over, then naturally the Krishna, who was born to help the humanity, he had his other calling. That's also a very important point in life. We have always a calling. We have our responsibilities and duties. We should have to perform them, observe them. But at the same time, highest goal is to remain in the life and to detach. How to detach, that's the greatest lesson in life. Because we work and we get attached. We love and we feel attached. We do any action. End result is we get stuck with that. That creates a bondage. But how can you work but not get attached? How can you love but not get attached? Unselfish love, pure love, how can it be developed? How can the karma be developed into a state beyond karma? That means you do work, but you feel the eternal bliss within, that you are not acting with selfishness, with the motivation of mean, unkind things to achieve in life and get hold of things which are temporary. So this is this type of example, what in the war of Kurukshetra has happened, that is a symbolic of that. And in that war, there comes all types of suffering and pain. Life, everyone has to go through that. And Krishna is standing there to guide us. You live in the life, face the challenges, overcome them. So that is, the war was over, and Sri Krishna is always detached. After that, guiding the whole 5 brothers, Pandavas, Arjuna, Yudhishthira and others, in the path of righteousness and justice, and then war over, they become the king, and naturally his duty is over. He didn't look back. Unselfish service to the world, for the good of the world. So our life should be modeled in that way. The life is for giving. Life is not for taking. Life is for unselfishness. Life is not for selfish motivation. Selfish motivation is a motivation in a lower level. Unselfishness, that motivation is the higher level, which one binds, another releases us from bondage. So that is now the Krishna in the real life. He is now going back to his own kingdom in the eastern part of India, Dwarka. Now that city still belongs there. And the excavation shows that there was a great architectural heritage. It has been found out. The most prosperous country, which went under the ocean. So now, Sri Krishna is going back, and then when he is going back, he was adored by the great people like Bhishma, who is considered one of the most righteous and holy person, and Mother Kunti, the mother of the 5 brothers, like that. And all that, they praised him, and they are very sad that Krishna is leaving. And in the course of discussion, then Krishna left, and this chapter started. This chapter is a question from Saunaka, because we don't know the context, so it will be difficult for you, so I shall pass quickly, read out. Because this is a big history, Mahabharata, that great book we should read, or you should watch on the movie, the Mahabharata episodes. How many episodes? Maybe more than 150 or 200, I don't know how much, big, huge. And really, the entire episode of Mahabharata, you see how is the role of Krishna and how he is dispassionately watching the war, being in the war, guiding and doing that. And he himself not participating. That participating means the Vedanta says participation is drifting from your witness consciousness to the relative world. But witness consciousness means witnessing all the activities and not getting stuck, not getting attached. That is called pure Vedanta, manifested in the life of Krishna. Now this question started, birth of Parikshit, chapter 12 in Skanda 1. It says, Saunaka said, protection, that how this story came up. You are all unfamiliar, so I am too difficult to start back again. See, this story began, this Bhagavat started. Where? There is a story that King Parikshit, a king was there, and he was very righteous. He was the descendant of this lineage of Arjuna. And then he was cursed by a sage. That story goes on. He was a king, very wonderful king of India. And in his period, the India was ruled, and all the people were extremely happy, rich, prosperous, loving, caring, all the noble qualities manifested because of his perfect management of the kingdom. And he himself was an ideal king. So when he was cursed by one sage, that you will live for 7 days only. So he took that as a verdict coming from God and thought, okay, 7 days, what shall I do now? This is India. He was a king, emperor of India, and he gave up everything and give the responsibility of next, this whole empire to his son and all these things, and he instantly detached. Could you imagine an emperor is just detaching instantly? Greatness of that is the ideal. That is what it says, that this is the in life we will have to do that. There is your freedom. Who knows when call will come? See how much COVID death is going on. But I think I will live forever. No? I am seeing that New York, what happened, how many people died in what condition, no? But I was thinking, I will live forever, no? But death is knocking at the door. And with that notice, what should you do? You have to find out how to release yourself from eternal bondage, how to be established in your eternal peace. So that's why he gave up everything and went in a forest on the bank of the river, and Naimisharan is the name of the place. And he retired there and wanted, I don't want to hear any worldly talk now. Please talk about God. And there he found that one great sage, Vyasadeva, the writer of this Bhagavat. The Vyasadeva is the great scholar who divided the whole Vedas into 4 divisions. Rig Veda, Sama Veda is the Vyasa, who have written the Brahma Sutra, the greatest Vedanta book, the pillar of Vedanta. No? He, Vyasadeva, related this story to his son Shukadeva, and that Shukadeva, he was born Brahmagyani. And he was born with the knowledge of the supreme truth. So he is not attached to anything of the world. And he happened to pass by that congregation. And then this Parikshit, he was on the deathbed by his own volition. His prediction was that a snake will bite you within 7 days and you will die. An emperor cannot protect himself from a snake for 7 days. But he didn't took that path. He took it as a learning process. Here is a hint. What is the purpose of life? To know thyself. So he poured his whole energy into one-pointed devotion to God and listening to the holy thoughts. And the beautiful life led by Krishna and them. So that was the starting. Shukadev started speaking, and Parikshit, the king Parikshit, his last bed, he's asking question and answer, guru and disciple. And he continued and continued and continued. At the end of the 7th day, the great sage Shukadeva, he said, I am now leaving. You have any further question? Then this King Parikshit says, no, I have finished all my questions, all my doubts are gone, and now I am free from fear of death. That is the fearlessness is Vedanta. Fear of death is the greatest fear in human personality. So I have conquered that. I have no more fear. By your grace, my knowledge, eye of knowledge has been opened up. Now the question came, this story of conversation between Parikshita, the king, and the great sage Shukadeva, it's a big spiritual truth. But it was conversation. In those days there is no tape recorder and there is no recording system. So we will be lost forever. Then somebody asked Shukadeva, the great sage, will this be lost? We are so absorbed in your discussion. There are many people also, many sages have gathered at that congregation in the forest of Naimisharanya, on the bank of the river, that we are absorbed. Nobody noted down anything. And this treasure will be lost forever. Then Shukadeva looked in the audience and found that there is one gentleman who have photographic memory. They are called the narrators. So he found one, that Suta, his name is Suta. Suta is a narrator. They can narrate story exactly as they have heard or seen. So he said, he will remember everything what I have said, and through that it will be transmitted and people will be able to recall. In the early days there is no writing or other, all to hearing. That's why it's called Shruti. So now that is the way we got this entire Bhagavatam. It's a conversation of 7 days conversation with whatever Shukadev and the Parikshit king. Now here is the question of, in the war before, what happened, how the Parikshit was protected, because in the war everyone is killed. All the children of both sides are gone. Only one in the lineage of Arjuna is this Parikshit. But when she was in the womb of the mother, the opponent Aswathama, he sent a missile. Some type of weapon or mantra was there to destroy the child in the mother's womb. And seeing that there is no, this entire clan will be totally lost, so Bhagavan Krishna stood to protect that baby in the womb of the mother. So now that question has come, birth of the king Parikshit, this chapter, which is 12th chapter. Now Saunaka said, it was said that the Uttara's womb was saved by Krishna from destruction after the Brahma missile, that's called Brahma missile, an invincible missile which nobody can resist. So that missile, it is protected by Bhagavan Krishna. Released, the weapon was released by Aswathama, the great warrior, had almost destroyed it. We are now desirous of hearing all about the noble and high-souled one, about the birth, deed and death, as also about his attainment of the supreme state after demise. We also want to know how Shuka happened to impart the spiritual knowledge to him. We who are endowed with faith in the Supreme Being are anxious to hear all this. Please tell us about these matters if you think us fit to be heard. So, this is the question in the congregation, and then Suta was the narrator said. So this question was how the Parikshita, who was destroyed almost, how he survived death, and how this Parikshit became the king, emperor of the country, and how he ended in this curse from the Brahmin boy. I want to hear all this. So these questions. And now the Suta means the narrator who remembers all this conversation. The photographic memory people in their lineage, this is the Suta. He says, we are on the chapter, as I said, 12th chapter. And this book is page 52. And it is verse number 4, where Suta, the narrator, is describing. What he says, Dharmaraja ruled over the country as father over a family, being himself free from all worldly desires because of his practice of devotion to Sri Krishna. He said that after the war, the king. Who became the king? Arjuna's elder brother. He became the king. So he ruled the country. How? That's the ideal king, as a father over a family. As a loving father takes care of the family. So this Dharmaraja, means the Yudhishthira, ruled over India like a father, with so much affection, love, and taking care of the children, everyone of the country, every citizen of the country. So being himself, but at the same time, he himself ruling, not with a rod in hand, but with a character. That's why the kings in India, I mean, even if you go to Nepal, the kings are all honored like that of God. In every country, earlier days, because their honesty, their love, their affection for the subjects, that is the way they used to look at the king, because they are unselfish, their love and protection, anyone in difficulty, the king is protecting that interest. So that was the idea. So it says, being himself free from all worldly desires. How he was free from all desires? Because of his practice of devotion to Krishna. Unless you are a spiritual person, your character will not change. Everyone will follow their own selfish determination, expectation, their gain, their achievement, all centered around me and mine will develop. Only those who love God, pray to God, their ego becomes free. So Dharmaraj means Yudhishthira ruled the country like a father, as a loving father does that for a family. Being himself free from all worldly desires, he himself is no more craving for his, but it's a duty to respond and to maintain the need and necessity of the subjects. Little low. Now, unlimited wealth, the performance of jagnas. Performance is jagna means what? In early days, you cannot live your luxurious life. You will have to do offering to God every day. You spend hours together for performing home of fire. Home of fire, you know? Huh? Home of fire, you know? It's a fire ceremony in which you have to put the firewood and design the image of the ideal in diagram, make the diagram, and offer mantra, and with the mantra you oblation into the fire, and then you offer it to God. So it is a ritual, it is a long ritual. They used to do every day those rituals. That's why I say, unlimited wealth he got, performed the jagnas, and jagna means this sacrificial fire. In early days, people can have the faith and believe, and they used to get it by austerity. By offering oblation to God in the fire, you can gain whatever material thing you want to gain. You can go to heaven, you can be king, you can attain anything, as by other means, in this means to performing these fires, sacrificial fires. The higher realms resulting from them, brothers' kingship over the whole India, fame extending up to heaven. He was such a beautiful king, which is Yudhishthira after the war. He ruled the country, his fame went on all direction. And all these blessings failed to give him any joy to whose mind longed only for Krishna, just as a man suffering from a gawning hunger fails to get satisfaction from anything except food. So he was a king, but was seeking for God. He was loving God. His heart was panting for God, vision and experience. Then he continued, verse number 7, Parikshit, in his mother's womb, scorched by the flames of Aswatthama's Brahma missile, that missile which was destroying the baby in the womb of the mother, noticed a divine person. That baby in the womb, he saw there is a divine personality protecting him. And that is Krishna, Bhagavan Krishna. A divine person close by. And of the size of a thumb, immaculate, decked with a shining diadem of gold on the head. These are the description of Lord Krishna, Lord Narayana. You haven't seen the trinity of Indian gods? What? Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. Vishnu has a circular weapon, it's called chakra, gada, mace, and what? Lotus and other things. So that divine image appeared before the baby. Baby is seeing that there is somebody standing before him and protecting him. Extremely handsome, blue like a rain cloud, wearing a yellow cloth of lightning like a glitter, yellow cloth, lightning like a glitter, having 4 auspicious arms, wearing earrings of shining gold, having rosy eyes, and holding in hand a flaming mace, by whirling which he scattered the power of Brahma missile as the sun does the mist covering him. These are all very poetic description. As the sun destroys the mist, that means similarly the weapon which is trying to destroy the baby, this missile, this round disc of weapon is destroying that power of the missile. Such a person he saw beside him, and he wondered who he might be. The baby does not know who is that. But baby feels that he is scorching because of the attack of that missile, but there is someone holding and protecting the life. So in our life also, we go through different situations. We know or do not know. Those who know, those who have the heart, they can understand. There is a divine power always protecting us, unconsciously or consciously. You are conscious, then you can feel that. If you are conscious, then you can know that. You can find that. But when you are not, you cannot understand how God protects us every second, even from the birth. That this Parikshit then is fortunate that before being born, the Lord in the physical form appeared there in a subtle way, of course not physical like as we say, in a subtle way. As you see in your dream, what happens? You see in your dream, they are real or not? They are real for the time when you see them. So in a subtle level, this baby found that there is some protecting force acting against the missiles and protecting him. The all-pervading Lord, who in his inscrutable ways protects the good and the righteous, destroyed the power of Brahma missile. And even as the future Parikshit, now a 10-month-old fetus, was looking on, disappeared from his vision. So when this missile was to destroy the baby, Parikshit, in the mother's womb, saw that divine power is holding a disc and destroying all the powers of the missile, counteracting the missile powers. When that was over, then this baby felt that divine appearance disappeared. Then at an auspicious moment, when all the planets stood in the favorable positions, Parikshit was born. He is the sustainer of this lineage of Pandu, whose natural majesty made one think that the great Pandu himself was reborn him. So when this boy was born, Parikshit, his majesty, his dignity, and his power manifested like their grandfather, who ruled the country for long time because of their honesty, sincerity, love, protection, all the nobility. He born with those qualities. The overjoyed king, Yudhishthira, then had the postnatal ceremony of the child performed by Brahmanas, who chanted the purificatory mantras. So many Brahmins, that was the style. When a baby is born, king calls the Brahmins who can see and foretell what is this baby like, what will be this baby like, no? Like Buddha was born, the Brahmins were called, and the Brahmins made a horoscope, and saying what he said. He's seeing the baby and reading his planetary situation and all this. He said, this boy either will be big, powerful king, or he will be totally renunciate, who will divulge the mystery of this world. So Buddha became Buddha. That's why his father was always keeping him in fun and joy from childhood, not to allow him to see anything of the suffering of life. Otherwise his mind, soft mind may turn towards becoming a monk, giving up everything. So, but could not do that. So ultimately, one day he saw the force. For sin, no? 4 days he saw. One day he saw what? Old man. Old man, tottering. Oh, old days? It will happen to me also? We are seeing every day. We never question it. We think, I will be living forever. He's an old guy. Okay. And then another, this is a sick man. A sick? Oh my God. Sickness? What is that? Because he is in the palace. And no exposure to outside any air, and very pure atmosphere, and roses and blooming lotus and flowers and dancing and singing and eating and this. Sick? What is sickness? It is a new thing for him. He learned how to, oh, I will be sick? Oh, old age will hit me? Sick. Physical sickness will hit me? Is it so? And then he saw miracle, death. What is this? Well, he die. Who will die? I will die? Well, yes, he will also die. My son, he will die. My wife? Yes, yes. Oh my God. See? In one piece of experience, turning his whole life. That's the prediction of the Brahmins. So, and then last one, he saw a monk who has nothing in possession, but face is beaming with joy and cheerful. He said, who is he? Well, he is in search of this mystery. He is a monk to know the truth. He renounced everything. He does not care for anything of the material world, only the truth of the spiritual world, no? And that made him gone. That made him Buddha. Buddha means awakened. Buddha means awakened. So that awakening came. So this is actually exactly it happened as predicted by the, what you call the Brahmins. They are expert people. They know particular moment when you are born, what is the position of different planets and stars and planets. So that science is still now there. Sometimes it's called, what is called? Astrology. Jyotish in Sanskrit. And in English we call astrology. Astronomy, astrology. So astrology, is it all false? Most of the cases it is false because calculation is wrong. Because exact time, exact things are necessary, to the accuracy. And if it is calculation becomes perfect, they can foretell what is going to happen, So anyway, so here also, as the Parikshit was born, so they called the greatest Pandits and Brahmins to see what is the fate of this. And they saw looking at this, that auspicious moment, the planet stood in favorable position. There was born Parikshit, who sustained the Pandu's lineage. Overjoyed king, now Yudhishthir then had the postnatal ceremony, and then the Brahmins are invited and they chanted purificatory mantras, Vedic mantras and things. And then Yudhishthira who knew the value of the gifts of important occasion in life, now gave away at this most auspicious occurrence of the birth of the grandson. In every family when grandson is born, grandma, grandpa, they become very happy. So here is Yudhishthira is the grandpa and he is the king. So he became so overjoyed, so called the Brahmins, and there is a rule. When you call the Brahmins, give the gifts, best gifts you can give. See here also, giving. And so, in the family, countless gifts to Brahmanas. What are they containing? Consisting of gold, milk cows. In the early days, you have 10 milk cows with giving milk, you are a rich guy. 20, you are richer. 100, you are much, you are one of the richest, no? So giving away cow was one of the system of giving donation or giving some support to the Brahmins. And life was simple those days, no? People used to have little pure milk, vegetarian food, whatever, and then think of God. So it makes their life easy. So the king, Yudhishthira, then started giving away all these gold, milk cows, lands, villages, elephants, horses, and treated them to a splendid feast. Of course, you give some food and some gift. Still now it is there. In Indian tradition, if there is any ceremony, they will call some Brahmins and then ask them to pray and other things, and then they will give some food, sumptuous feast, and then some offering. Highly pleased with the humble and cordial behavior of the king, the Brahmanas said, "O leader of the Pauravas, when this sprout of the righteous Kuru race was destroyed by the inevitable consequence of the past karmas, he was saved by the all-powerful." He means here the king Parikshit. Parikshit was saved by the all-powerful Lord Vishnu. Why is it Lord Vishnu? Holding the chakra and bounty. He was saved by all-powerful Vishnu as a bounty to you for him. Therefore, he will become far famed in the world as a great devotee and a great king under the name. His name will be Vishnu Rata, one saved by Lord Vishnu. He would be lost unless God himself protected the baby in the mother's womb. Now predictions about what the Brahmins said. The Brahmins went through the analysis, seeing the stars and position, and they said, this Parikshit will be the king, but a king of unusual character, of beauty, of love, of grace, of compassion, of strength, valor, power, purity. So at this the king said, "O great ones, will this boy follow in the footsteps of his great and glorious ancestors? The famous Rajarshis of our clan who received acclamation of all righteous men." What does it mean? Indian kings were not ordinary kings. That's the greatness. India is great in all these respects. Materially it was one time great affluent country, and spiritually it was also so rich. In between what happened, that worldly way, in India became poor, but spiritually still they retained that spirituality. So what happened? These kings were not like any other kings and barons in the West. They are kings. But these kings are Raja and Rishi. Who is Rishi? Rishi means he is a seer of truth. They are Brahmagyanis. They are the knowers of truth. At the same time, for the good of the society, in the top of the country, they rule the country. You know, you can imagine who is the topmost power. If he is a righteous person, loving, caring, compassionate, how the country will come, rule. And a person who is only selfish, wants to think, hoard money, engage in their own fun and joy and dance and eating and singing and dancing and loving, what type of the country will be the output? Huh? If he has no character, he has no feeling, and he is not a spiritual person. So he says, he is asking to the Brahmanas, this boy, when he will be in future, will he be keeping the tradition of this lineage? Our lineage is, they are Brahmagyanis, but they are kings at the same time, Brahmagyanis. You read the Upanishads. When you read the Upanishad, you see all these great dictums of the Vedantic expressions. But who are these people? They are not sannyasis, they are not monks. Major people of them are householders. They are married, they live in their life, but excel all the limitations of life and known the truth. And these, even the Brahmins used to come to these kings to know about Brahman, to put some spiritual question. What is God realization? How can we realize the truth? So these kings are not mere kings with weapons and arms, but they are so great and deep in their profound spirituality. So he asked the Brahmanas, please, how this boy will be? Will this boy be keeping the glory of the lineage? And will they be knowers of truth, Brahmagyanis, and also the ruler? Ruler at the same time, knower of truth. Will that be, or mere a ruler? So, in response, the Brahmana said, O son of Kunti, and he is addressing Yudhishthira, the elder brother. All the 5 brothers are there. In protecting his subjects, he will be like the king Ikshaku himself. You know, each word will take one class to explain who is Ikshaku. Ikshaku ke? Ikshaku is Rama's father Dasharatha. Ikshaku Vangsha. Anyhow, he will be the greatest king when the question of protecting the interest of the subjects. He will give his life for protecting the interest of the subjects. If anywhere anything is there, he is there to protect the interest of the person, citizens. In reverence for holy men, you are king, but your king does not mean anything. If any holy man come, you should prostrate. That's the India. India, the king bows his head before one naked fakir. Swami Vivekananda is a wandering monk. The king of Khetri and others, they bowed down their head at the feet of their Swami Vivekananda, who is a wandering monk, have nothing in possession. That is the greatness in India. Tyaga, renunciation, is worshipped and respected. At the top, the king will bow down his head. So that he will be like that. In protecting the subjects, he will be like Ikshaku. In reverence for holy men and in truthfulness, he will be equal to Rama. Rama is a king, but what type of king? He is in reverence, he is respectful for the holy people and also truthful in his own character. In charity and affording protection to refugees, who takes refuge in him, to protect him and giving charity, he will be like an emperor, Sibi, the king of the Ushi Naras. In this story, you do not know, Sibi gave up his own flesh of the body to bite and take pinch by pinch, to serve others, hungry. So that type of dedication will be in the life of this Parikshita. He will be matched to Bharata, the son of Dushyanta, in the patronage of the performance of the jagnas, and in thus enchanting the glory of the clansmen. And he goes on like that. He will be like a great archer. He will come to be the level as like Arjuna. And when the fighting comes, control of the weapons, he will be like his father Arjuna, most powerful person. He will be like Brahma, creator God, impartial to all, in giving boons and blessings readily. He will be like Shiva, Maheshwara, in affording protection to all. He will be like Vishnu himself, being the focus of all virtues. He will resemble Krishna himself. So his purity will be so much. He will be like Lord Krishna. He will be liberal in gifts, like giving up everything, whoever gift giving. He does not retain any. That means he is an ideal king with so many grand characters, which is very rare to find. So all those Brahmanas, O king, enlightened about the truth of Atman by the sage Shuka, the son of Vyasa, he will abandon his body on the bank of the holy Ganga and attain to the state beyond all fear. Because it is all prediction. So he will be ruling the country, being the ideal ruler, lover, protector, and just a person of self-sacrifice in his highest level. And he will rule the country like an enlightened person about the truth of the Atman. He will know the truth of the Atman. And by the end, he will abandon his body at the bank of the city of Holy Ganga, as I said in my beginning, in the forest of Naimisharanya, the name of the forest, which is running on the bank of Ganga, on the river. Their prediction is that he will leave his body there on the bank of Ganga. All those Brahmanas were masters of astrology and horoscope reading, advised the king thus, and receiving rich presents from the king Yudhishthira, he returned to the Brahmins returned to their homes. He will become famous in the world as Parikshit. The Brahmins said that this boy, he will be named Parikshit and very famous in his name in the world, because he will be always testing whether the form he saw in the womb was the same as was the manifesting in all men as the indweller. That means we will see the God in everything. Because in the early childhood, when this baby was in the mother's womb, he saw that one divine figure appeared, and who's with a 4 arms and holding the weapons and other things, whether that same person is still there till the point of death. So, and that Krishna, that Lord, is residing in the heart of all. He will be able to see this, that who protected me, and that is the same reality, same divine incarnation in the heart of all. That means God, he saw even in childhood, saw the presence of God, and that God protecting everyone. Well fed and cared for, and educated in all the 64 kalas, arts and sciences, he grew fast from day to day, like the moon in the bright fortnight, to whom kala or part is added every day. He says that now the baby is born afterwards, and this baby grew like every day flourishing, manifesting his greatness, grandeur, learning, education, and manifesting these wonderful qualities. Then the Raja, Yudhishthira, Raja means king. The king Yudhishthira was now anxious to do Ashwamedha sacrifice. As I said, sacrificial fire, one sacrifice is Ashwamedha, as an expiation for the sins accruing from the slaughter of the friends and relatives in the war. it is like a sacrificial fire performed for the welfare of those who have departed, who have been killed in the war in both sides of the war. But he found he had not enough wealth for it, as his only income was for the taxes and fines. Coming to know of this desire of his brother, as directed by Sri Krishna, went on expedition to the north and brought a huge quantity of golden vessels and other valuables abundant by the king named Marutha. With the wealth so acquired, Yudhishthira worshipped the Lord, performing 3 Ashwamedha sacrifice to be free from the fear of sin for causing the death of his own friends, relatives and clansmen. This is also the beauty. He is performing some sacrificial fire, they call Ashwamedha. What for reason? For the well-being of those who have lost their life in the war. Both parties, his side and other side. The Lord, being invited by Yudhishthira, attended the festivities of the sacrifice, conducted the rites by engaging expert Brahmanas, rituals, and afterwards, at the request of his friends, spent some months in their midst to please them. Then, permitted by Draupadi, Dharmaputra and others, he returned to Dwarka, accompanied by Arjuna and his Yadava retinue. Now, here he said that in this great sacrifice, where Yudhishthira, the king, was performing this for the welfare of the departed who have left their body in the war, he invited this Arjuna, Yudhishthira invited Krishna, Bhagavan Krishna again to come. And he came and attended that program and spent some time, some months, and they are very happy getting back God, Krishna with them. And then after that, he took bye from them and Krishna went back again. So there ends this chapter 12. So we can read further 13th chapter unless there is any question. After Sukadeva left?
Did the king get bit by a snake and die?
Yeah. Because that was the 7th day. When the 7th day is approaching, so Sukadeva was very soft. No, spiritual people become very soft. They cannot bear the suffering of others. So he does not want to see the last biting of the snake and this and that. There is a beautiful description. The snake will bite. But that's why Sukadeva asked, have you any more question? Any further question? Then he said, no, my all questions are solved and I have conquered death. I don't fear death anymore. Last word. Mrityubhyo na bivemi aham. Aham, I don't get bivemi, frightened for death anymore. And thinking of Krishna, thinking of this divine sport, this entire volume we have to deal with, 13 volumes, no? 13 books are there. So all this listening constantly, that's the point. We can conquer death. How? Not by protecting an army force around me. You can conquer death by thinking constantly of the unchanging, absolute reality whom we call God. Think of God who never dies, who never borns. Think of that. Leave, the body will go. But you will not die because you live in the consciousness of the divine. So that is the thing. Parikshit, what he did for 7 continuous days, could you imagine? Forgetting their own palatial, here's a king, all these comforts and all this food, comfort, others, he forgot everything. He was mad for knowing the truth. And last day, how will you think? Absolute non-dual is one thing. But this is called Leela Chintan. That's a great idea. When the body will be old, Many people we see in our Ramakrishna tradition also. They live in this awareness of the divine sport of the God's presence. No, oh, our one Swami was there, Premesha Ananda Swami. He was a par excellence Brahmagyani. He used to live in the latter part of, because he was very weak and physically needs all the time to help, and he is so weak and sick. And one of his attendants said that you whole day you lie down like that as if you are not responding to anything. How do you spend your time? That is the point. 7 days Shukadev spent, that's the ideal for us. That 7 days constantly, Parikshit only heard about Krishna, the Lord Krishna, His glories, His unselfishness, His guidance, His protection, thinking about that. Yes, few people may be there, another, they can think of I am Atman and stay in that level. But majority of the sadhakas in the whole universe, they live in the awareness of God and their divine sport. Krishna Lila, some Christians will think of the Christ's, all the episodes of Christ, can think and keep the mind. Not, you maybe in Hollywood you will think you will be living with Christ. To live with Christ, live with Buddha, that is the way your mind remains tuned to that higher level. And when you leave the body, it goes from material world plane to that spiritual plane and to the absolute plane. So this is the great lesson. So that when 7th day came, then Shukadev took by and he left, and after some time, maybe half an hour, 1 hour or something, then the snake came and he gave it a biting, and it said with that bite this soul of Parikshit, the king Parikshit, came out of the body, the Jyoti in the form of light, and it merged into the cosmic light, like that. So those descriptions are there. So this is the story of King Parikshit. You have any question more? Okay. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ram Krishna Arpanam Astu. Sorry, I didn't tell you that Swami said that what do you do all this time? You sleep like that as if you are dozing off. He said, I live in Kamarpukur, in Jairambati. I live in Kashipur Garden House. He is lying there in a remote area from Calcutta, in the district of Murshidabad. And he said that I am not living, body is here, but I am living with Ramakrishna. Where? In the Dakshineshwar. Sri Ramakrishna seated in the couch, no? And he is talking to this person. Naren Vivekananda came, then Master Masai, the AM come, and he is saluting, he is talking this and talking that, going to ecstasy, singing and dancing. Constantly he is in that plane. So why his body is on, our mind does not go there. Why? Because we are entangled here. Our mind is attached to so many things. When you meditate, what happens? Your mind does not go to God. You try to bring it, but it runs away. Because it has more gravitational pull. You have to generate some energy to go above the gravitational pull. That's why rocket, when you launch the rocket, what happens? They give a boosting. It's a booster. It's a booster shot. We have to use booster shots. The Vedanta study, bhakti study, meditation, selfless work, all these are booster. And that it should be such booster that worldly pull up, gravitational pull, pulling us down into the body. Aha, this is aching, this is paining, aha, what. Body will suffer, but you will not suffer. You will be lifted from the earthly ideas. So that is the purpose of this book. We are reading, if one reads very meticulously and ruminates over it, don't think that you have to think of Krishna. We are Vedanta. It may be Ramakrishna, it may be Buddha, it may be Christ, You can think whatever. God manifested in this divine form. And you live in that consciousness. And God's divine play. Think of the divine play of God. That can help us, those who cannot meditate. That's why meditation of 3 types. I may have told many times. What are the 3 types of meditation? Meditation on the Rupa Dhyana. You meditate on the form, divine form of Christ, divine form of Buddha, divine form of Ramakrishna, Sri Chaitanya. Because in them there is nothing unworldly. Though they look like a human being, all pure, all love, all transcendental experience, full of compassion and holiness. As if concrete Satchidananda. Satchidananda, condensed Satchidananda. And think of that form. If you look really at the form of Christ or Buddha, your mind will be pure. If you look at the ugly picture, your mind will be ugly. Simple thing. Formula is very simple. It's very scientific. If you keep the mind in a very vulgar, nasty something, your mind will be colored in a nasty. It is like keeping your 1 glass of water, say 1 liter of water, in a jar this way, it will take the shape of the jar. If you take in a bowl, it will take the shape of the bowl. Don't blame your mind. Where you keep your mind, what thought you keep your mind will take that shape. So think of God. Then your mind will be, that's the name and the form. So one is meditation on the form of the divine form. His hands like this, his eyes are like that, focusing on the feet is like that, whole feature of the body. Though they are flesh and bone, but they are not like us. They are made of purity. They are made of stainless, absolute character of love and compassion and holiness. So think of them, your mind will be lifted in that. So that's called Rupa Dhyana. Second Dhyana, mind is not getting there. So Lila Dhyana, as I said, think of the stories of the Buddha's life or Rama's life or Krishna's life, Ramakrishna's life. What is your subject? Regarding that you roam around in that thought and let the mind run here, run there. Mind wants to run and you are trying to stick. No, come back to the form. Mind is not coming. So give mind some tool. Okay, go there and see Ramakrishna is dancing. You want to dance? Okay, dance with him. So you are helping the mind to play in the way God played in a realistic life. So that's called the Lila Dhyana. And the third one is the Tattva Dhyana. Your mind wants to go anywhere? Think that, let the mind go. Where? Let it go to London. Okay, you think there, whatever picture coming, but think that is made of Satchidananda. Let it go to New York, Boston. You want to run anywhere, to a friend. Feel that the friend is nothing, but is made of that Satchidananda. Think of the ocean of consciousness everywhere. That is called Tattva Dhyana. So these are the 3 types of dhyana, meditation, people can practice. And according to their mood and temperament, they can take advantage of either one or 2 or all of them. We in Vedanta, we try to harmonize everything together. Anyhow, now one question is there. There are so many narrators like Sutta, Saunaka, Shuka. Is it because they are quoting others? Please clarify. No, the suttas, sutta is a lineage, narrator's lineage. Means there are a class of people who could narrate the things in a perfect way, exactly. Maybe many people can remember something, but how to exactly remember where without any editing, that type of people are a class by themselves. In that name there will be not one sutta. Suppose this incident what we read today, it was first happened with the Parikshit, and then Sukadev came there, and Sukadev gave the advice. Okay, understand. Now it, how do you, it retained after thousands of years. How it is written? So one narrator remembered that, and then they narrated to the others in their family or some such special people who could listen and remember and correct themselves again and again. That's why our Upanishads are maintained. How? Upanishads are maintained because of the diacritical mark and chanting in a particular way, and you have to do exactly like that. So probably that is the way the tradition has been handed over to one, to the other. But they are all called suttas, all sutta. But suttas' names are different. One is X, Mr. Y, Mr. Z. So that tradition, whoever in that category, who have that incredible memory, so those people are called sutta family. So in them, these are the different names. So different names means different person handed over that experience or that stories to the next generation, next generation. You go to India, you will find that there are Bhagavat readers. They will not look at the book. They will take some Bhagavat in mind and go on explaining. And hours are hours. And people will be astounded to see their stories, how they relate, how they narrate. That's called the narrator. Okay, thank you. So we end here, then we'll meet you again. Thank you for attending. We'll meet you again at the 7:30 p.m. Class is on Shanti Gita. That's also related to this Abhimanyu and others. Shanti Gita. Because Abhimanyu now will grow, no, the Abhimanyu is father, no?
No, Janmaja is his father.
Janmaja is the father. And his father?
Parikshit is his father. Parikshit, Janmaja, Abhimanyu.
Abhimanyu. So, okay.
No. Abhimanyu is Arjuna's son. Abhimanyu's son is Parikshit.
So Abhimanyu was killed.
Yes.
So Abhimanyu was killed, that means he is his father. This, we are talking about whom today? Abhimanyu's son.
Parikshit.
Yes.
Is the Shanti Gita part of a larger collection of texts, or is it by itself?
It is, we searched about that, but there is a reference in the Bhagavat as also in Mahabharata that Abhimanyu was killed.
Yeah.
And when he was killed, naturally, you see, if Abhimanyu is killed, his father's situation, what will be? He is totally devastated. Abhimanyu is not an ordinary person. He was a great warrior. And the 7 big warriors, in those days war was not from a distance, it was face-to-face war, no? The 7 big warriors encircled him and attacked him in an unfair way of war. So that he was killed, and that's why Arjuna, when he heard that his only precious son, he has been killed, so he lost all interest for tomorrow's fight. And then he actually approached, he was taken to Krishna, and Bhagavan Krishna then gave the same advice like Bhagavad Gita.
Well, the reason I'd ask is because I Googled the Shanti Gita and I couldn't find any information on it except for your class, and so I asked Dharmaraja and he said he never even had it.
He never knew, I also didn't know, but we came to know this way. And you can find in this book also, in Bhagavad also there is reference, and Mahabharata there is a reference, but not exactly what he said. It is in between some story, and it has come, and it is said in some remote corner, not a part of this Bhagavat, neither the part of Mahabharata. So it is set up in a separate text. How it is maintained, I do not know. That's why no English translation yet. So I am trying to do this translation, so it may come out as a book form sometime. So the original Sanskrit and the word for word meaning and the running meaning, and it is small footnotes here and there. So we will try to do that so that people can access that. It is only one, in Bengali there is, because Bengali Pandits were very great in probing into the things. And there is one in Bengali script, original, and this translation, and this explanation. So very highly Vedantic book. But that is not available. We searched in like you Google searching and doing here and there. Google helps us everywhere, but could not do much here. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace.